Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Clean Libertarian Podcast. How are y'all doing out there, man? I'm telling you right now, this has been one of the best weeks I have had in a long time, and I'll tell you why. For those of you who know me, who have followed me on here for a while, you know that one of the things I have been looking for and after is a pardon. You know, I have been a felon. Haven't been able to own a firearm legally and, you know, all that fun stuff. Well, this week I finally got my governor's pardon. Guys, my rights have been restored. I want to take a moment to thank the Oklahoma Libertarian Party and also my family in recovery and my wonderful wife for coming together and helping make this a reality. You guys have no idea what this means, man. It's a huge thing. And so anytime anybody can get out of that kind of situation and into a better one, man, it's a beautiful thing. And here I am. So on top of that, I had a birthday this week. So everything just kind of came together, man. Got my pardon, had a birthday. And what's more than that, this is a fantastic episode that I have lined out. This is Dad Roundtable number 2. We brought back KRS Jack, Evan, and BK, and we also added Jay, a.k.a. Jeremiah, to the list of crew. And we just went through a litany of topics, man. I can't even tell you how amazing it is to be able to sit down and hang out with these guys for the amount of time that they let me, ramble on and they partake in it. But man, this was a fun episode, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So without any further ado, let's bring them on. All right, and here we are. Okay, so Showgirls. That's where we're at. That's where we're starting.
Oh, we're starting on Showgirls, dude. I didn't even get enough. I haven't had enough.
Let's do a little introductions though first. We got BK, we got Jay, we got Evan, and we got KRS Jack back in the studio. Guys, thank y'all so much for cutting out some time to be here to talk about Showgirls for 3 hours. I am pumped.
It's just gonna be fucking epic.
Oh hell! But how's everybody doing tonight?
It's nice out.
It got quiet real quick. That's never a good sign.
Yeah,
that's never a good sign.
Well, the problem is that I don't shut the fuck up, so I never like going first. Because if you just let me, you're like, hey, dude, just fucking go ahead and talk. I'm just gonna start fucking rambling for a while. So I will say this much though, I am ready to just sit on this couch and drink beer and listen to you guys tell fucking stories, because I had a pretty decent day overall. I had a really good day yesterday, so I'm thinking just fucking ride the wave. So I'm good.
Capitalize on it. There you go.
Wait for the other shoe to drop tomorrow.
Oh yeah, don't say that. Come on, man, that's not cool.
The wheels are going to fall off of shit now. You'd have done it.
Oh my god.
I want to be convinced Jack I need to watch Showgirls.
Wait, you've never seen Showgirls?
This is going to be my. That's the black pill is going to be my job tonight. That's it. It's my job.
Yeah, you're good at it.
All right,
I am good at it. What was it you called me today? A fuck? What was it? Is that something? What was that?
That was your pronoun, not mine.
No.
God, I miss Twitter.
No, you don't. You don't.
It's getting worse. It's getting progressively worse. Actually,
you ain't missing much.
No, no. Outside of our little circle, the outside world. It's been nice to avoid
missing anything much.
No, it's been nice. So let's hear about this Showgirls, BK. I want to hear this theory.
So listen, okay.
I bet
everyone just focused on the shitty writing. It was shitty writing, the shitty directing, and no one really actually understood the underlying theme, which is somebody. Yeah, the acting was fucking terrible. Cinematography was fucking arguably some of the worst that ever has been around. All right. But what no one focused on was the story behind it.
How was the book?
All right.
He didn't read the book. He got the comics.
Listen.
Yes, we did.
The book was fantastic. Okay. No.
Yeah.
BK got the trade paperback novel,
Dude,
graphic novel. He was
signed.
going for it.
It's the graphic novel.
Graphic comic.
I really love it.
Graphic novel.
Now you're
God.
Now you guys are just purposely throwing me off, so I sound like I'm rambling.
No. So hold on. Showgirls, is that the one with Demi Moore?
No, that's
It doesn't take a whole lot of shit for that.
Dude, that's also an underrated movie, but for very different reasons. Because it's got Burt Reynolds acting like a fucking crazy politician, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Striptease, Drew.
Yeah, that's Striptease.
Okay, Striptease. Okay.
What movie?
Showgirls is with the Saved by the Bell chick.
That's the one. Yep.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep. It was her one shot at actually having a good, decent film career, and she just fucking ruined it. Just right off the bat.
She picked Showgirls.
Yep. Well, all right. Well, now I've been distracted enough that I can't remember where my train of thought was. Thanks a lot, assholes.
Yes.
Not that it takes that much anyway.
All right.
So listen, but you got to understand is she comes in and she thinks that all like this world is all glamorous and great. And that's kind of, so she gets excited and then she cheats her way to the top and then realizes that it wasn't that good. Jesus, I don't want to do this now. You guys threw you did it.
Oh, damn.
All right.
Man.
Edit this part out. Just cut this one out completely.
Live.
This is live.
We're going live.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing.
But I think I get BK. I think I get what you're saying about like you see the glamour from the outside, and then when you get inside, it's not what you thought it was.
Right. And it's more about like, when you like the difference between just appropriating shit and taking from people versus actually like earning it and getting there on your own.
Yes.
Like she had the talent, dude. There's no way around it. Like she was skilled enough, but she took the short route and she took the ugly route where, like she kicked that bitch down the stairs, which was fucking kind of hilarious when you watch it again. Like she fucked her boss, like all these bad things, but she had the talent, but she took the short route. And I think that's a lot of people can really like get a lesson from that is that sometimes, like just getting what you want isn't the fucking way. It's how you get it. It's how you work and how you get through and earn it. And that was something, like I think we were talking about the last time we were talking about raising kids is that it's important to teach people and to earn what they get so that it's valuable.
Yeah,
and
man.
That's that movie right there, dude, is that she learns that nothing that she thought was valuable was actually valuable because she didn't earn it, and she became a better person by learning that lesson.
I
can't believe I'm a
Go ahead,
I'm sorry, buddy, go. I said I can't believe I'm about to get philosophical on the movie Showgirls. But do you think that that's what most people's concern is about big business, is that they're always going to take the shortcut route, and that's where you get the political philosophy that big business has to be regulated, which then just leads to regulatory capture and them having all the power to do exactly what people are afraid of. It's that fear motivator, that fear mentality that ends up allowing big business to do that. But I think that's where a lot of it stems from, is people's idea that the only way to get ahead is to cheat and lie. So anybody who's gotten ahead has done that.
I think that's prevalent. I think that's exactly how the narrative has been written for a while now, and why so many people kind of move towards that direction where if you're successful, you're clearly, the villain, the bad guy, like it's not just that we've been told that in movies or anything like, throughout that, but it's actual, like I said, capitalists are inherently greedy. They're inherently evil. They're going to take shortcuts. The truth is that you can't take shortcuts and you can't be the bad guy and you can't screw people out of money and stay successful. The good businesses don't do that. The bad businesses need protection from the government to get there. So I think that what you're saying is like, yeah, like it's an encouraged behavior only if you have the protection. But if you take that protection away, no, I don't think that it would be as prevalent. I don't think you'd see it as much, particularly in, like pharmaceuticals, pretty much. Yeah, actually, pretty much anything.
Well, yeah. Let's go with pharmaceuticals. If you're not planning for the future, it's okay to throw out something that gets people sick, right? If you don't have to worry about the consequences in the future, you tend to do bad things now.
Well, look at, the fact that
that's yeah.
They don't have, like how are the companies pushing out this COVID vaccine not being held accountable?
It was already built that way. They called it a vaccine.
Yeah.
As soon as you put it as a vaccine, you can't take them to court. There's no court. Mm-hmm. There's a court to take them to, but you have to have a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of people behind you to even step on those steps.
Yeah.
So there was,
and it's not a jury of your peers.
They had all the immunity, and so they didn't have to worry about consequences. Everything will be called a vaccine in the future because there's no consequences as soon as you label that treatment as a vaccine.
Isn't that amazing, though, that it seems to me the same people, like, that we're talking about that have that fear of big business, how they've flipped 180 degrees on something as big as zero liability for vaccine injuries.
Right.
It amazes me how that fear drive that motivates people to want to regulate, and we gotta make sure they're doing the right thing and break up the monopolies, which, as we've already talked about, that's how these big businesses get away for decades and decades and decades of being assholes. But then you just tell them that, oh, no. Now the fear is in big business. Now it's your health, and they're going to hand everything to these pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
They'll hand their lives over to them.
Yeah.
Just for the promise of keeping you safe.
It's the fear. And it was funny. So I was arguing with somebody about COVID, and they put out this article saying people that are right-minded, right spectrum, their brains aren't as smart as left spectrum people. And in that article, though, it also said that people on the right were better at understanding the risks of the world. So it was right there. It's like, hey, here's this article. It says that you're not very good at figuring out that COVID isn't that dangerous. And yet you're the one making the rules because you're the smartest, but you can't even figure out the risk behind this flu that doesn't affect most people.
Yeah. Yeah, I read it. The statistic was something like 71% of Democrats thought you had a 50% chance or better, 50% or higher chance of going to the hospital if you caught COVID, when the actual number is somewhere between like 1% and 2% of ending up in the hospital. Just in the hospital. Forget fatality or long-term problems or anything else. Something like 71% of Democrats thought if 50% chance or better, you would end up in the hospital if you caught it. I mean, that boggles the mind, the level of propaganda required to come to that conclusion and believe it. And then, like you said, Jay, the base policy on it is astounding.
Yeah, and I think here's another factor, and I've applied this to, like, gun control arguments and even, drug policy arguments, is that your perspective will change depending on your situation. So, for instance, one of my supervisors at work, she was pretty hard up against the vaccine. She caught COVID and wound up in the ICU and was on a ventilator and made it out. But that experience made her perspective on the matter change, right? Data, facts be damned. Even though only 1% to 2% are getting it, her worldview now is that, oh my God, we all need to be vaccinated because this happened to me. And so, and it's the same thing, like when I'm arguing for, decriminalize all drugs with somebody whose kid overdosed on heroin, years ago, like that's not going to go too good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
it's
we're two to three generations deep of personal experience, anecdotal evidence, and feelings being people's main driver on what they think the government should and shouldn't do versus people's innate and natural rights. I mean, we're so far gone down that road.
Yeah.
I don't know how short of an entire paradigm shift that you can correct that.
And I don't know that. I really think that with 4 years of having a president troll the left, I mean, mercilessly, created a powder keg to where these people were going to sign on for anything so long as like perceived Trump supporters were against it. It's not so much that they agree with the mandates or the vaccines. It's just that, hey, the red hats are pissed off. I like this.
It's our team against your team.
Right.
Yep.
It's more the tribalism that, that dominates everything now. It's more the division, and they want to, and look, they want to keep it that way. The more that they can keep us at each other, the more they can keep me arguing with my neighbor, the more attention I put on that and the less attention I put on what they're actually, doing. It's a tactic that's old as time.
Yeah.
And when you want to talk about perspective, my wife's sister died from COVID complications. So, but here's the deal. My wife, being in medical care and being in the medical field, has an understanding of how all this was dealt with. We never were in denial of this existing. We were not even in denial of how contagious it might be, or maybe how dangerous to some people it might be. But where our argument always was the treatment of it when it first came out. Their thing was to lock everybody in their homes, not to go to the doctor or to the hospital. I mean, you had doctors' offices and hospitals that would turn you away unless you were dying. I mean, that's just pretty much it. What happened to my sister-in-law was that she had it, and of course she couldn't get into a doctor because she had it, and she laid around and got pneumonia. It was pneumonia that killed her, but it was just because of the whole policy behind it, and that's where we squarely lay it. We don't lay it with, oh my gosh, has she been vaccinated? We don't know that, and the data seems to point in the other direction, that it really wouldn't have mattered. Maybe her symptoms might have been lessened, maybe not. I don't know, but I think that actually helped bring my wife around more to, hey, the way that this is being treated and handled is a scam, because it's starting to be proven that this can be dealt with cheap, inexpensive, drugs. With the symptoms, not the cure, but with the symptoms. When you go get Tylenol, cold and flu, you're just treating the symptoms. You're not treating the actual virus, and it's the same thing. They can't make as much money off of that. So there it is.
Yep.
Dudes, I'm telling you, everything can come right down to money, and that's where it's at. But it actually pushed my wife farther over in my direction. When this first started, she was kind of freaking out a little bit, and I was in kind of a mode of, pish posh the whole thing, and she was like, "It's real," and I'm like, "I don't deny that it's real, honey. I believe it, but I don't know if I'm buying everything that they're trying to feed us right now." And it took her a little longer to come around to that, and she has a head full of common sense, and now she's firmly in this. We have handled this completely wrong. The medical field has handled this completely wrong. They're giving out the wrong advice on this from the get-go. They want to lock you inside. They want to put you out of the sun. They want to keep you inactive. Well, and when you have a chest cold and when something that can develop into pneumonia, the worst thing that you can do is just lay around and not move. And then by the time you get so sick that you have to your oxygen level is so low, you have to be sedated to be intubated, okay? That means you're lying still, perfectly still. You have to keep that stuff. You have to keep moving, and you have to, just the way that's been handled has just been wrong. And
was she?
That's where I'm at. I don't deny anything.
If your wife was was she with you politically before COVID hit? So did you guys see eye to eye on shit, or was she different?
Oh yes, 100%.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We're simpatico on a lot of that stuff. I'm still trying to push her harder and harder. She's not completely in the tank on some things, But there's some things that have happened in the last 18 months. She's looked at me and it's been like, you were right. And I'm like, well, I don't like being right, but there it is. But
And
and I just, this doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but we've been watching this before it ever became a big deal here. I remember a conversation that we had while everybody was distracted by the impeachment going on, and everybody was distracted by Trump and the dog and pony show going on in D.C.
Yep.
Her and myself were watching what was going on in China with this virus. And so we started preparing for things in probably November of 19.
Okay.
Because some of the stuff I just knew was coming, and then it hit March, and boom, there it was.
Talk.
We had already kind of. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen with this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
didn't know. We didn't know what was going to
noticed,
happen.
like,
You didn't know what videos. You didn't know what videos believe. It's like Jesus. They're dropping dead in China. We don't know what's going to happen.
Or they're all learning how to weld.
I mean, people are falling over dead in the streets. Yeah.
Remember the semi trucks they had? They CNN had those blasted up the refrigerated semi trucks outside of the morgue.
Yes.
Because there was just over capacity.
Oh, I know.
Holes being dug at Rikers Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
And
happened to those the ships that they had that they pulled in? Like, did we keep them?
The medical
I don't
ships.
know, man.
Yeah, we did turn them into cruise ships to get more COVID cases. I don't know, like.
Yeah, they're still in port, and that's why the ports are all jammed up.
Oh man.
Yeah, how about that?
Somebody lost the keys.
Just shit, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I fucking lost them. Like, I had them in my pocket. I set them down.
Yeah.
Now we got a boat.
Fuck around.
I went, smoked a joint, and now I'm in the Suez Canal sideways. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Somebody check the dirty laundry. I left the keys somewhere.
Yeah. I want to get back to the point about showgirls though, and like
The point.
Damn right.
I shouldn't have even fucking sent that message earlier. That was a goddamn joke, and I was getting like, I don't necessarily regret it because once again, I still think that movie doesn't get the credit it deserves.
By God.
But I do regret
Question.
doing it that we're live because now I have to actually talk.
Yeah, question about that. When you came
Yes.
up with your little thesis here, was it because you absolutely enjoyed the movie, or you got caught watching it and you had to bullshit your way out of it?
Yeah, he got caught watching it. He had got caught watching this shit.
This is the cool thing, though, is that like my wife knows how much I love terrible movies because she knows, like, all Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Love
every
it.
fucking movie. Dude, so,
love it.
like,
And
one
little did she
time
know she was going to marry one.
Huh? Dude, she picked Showgirls out specifically to listen to me fucking like Mystery Science Theater 3000 the thing. No joke. Like
That's true love, buddy.
She'll pick out, like, if she sees a bad movie somewhere at like Meijer where it's, you know, like $3 for something like that and it looks shit, she'll buy it and bring it home and give it to me and be like, all right, here we go, and just sit there and laugh. And that's it. So I just sit there. I'm like, this is okay. And then hit her with a really deep message that they weren't actually fucking going for in the first place, but I just make up anyway because I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to tell you what I think is stupid. And then we watch terrible movies. And she just, I married up.
That's awesome, man. But on the point that you were making though about, like, earning something as opposed to just having it handed to you, like, where that hits close to home with me is like I'm kind of like watching and following the stuff going on south of the border as far as like narco gangs and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fascinating to see like how they draw these young kids in, is that they flash all this money and these cars and all of this and that, get them to join up, and within a matter of months, they're dead on the street, just because they support this gang or the other.
You're talking about the military, right?
No, that's the cartels. But yeah, I mean, pretty much anymore, I guess.
No, I mean, it's an interesting sort of, I don't know, paradigm, looking for a better word, but I can't find it right now. But it is true. Like if you don't earn what you get, it lacks the value that it should have. You know, so like she goes in and, like I said, she kicks the bitch down the stairs, fucks the dude who's running the show, and she gets in, and then she gets all the stuff that she thought she wanted, and then realizes that it's meaningless because she didn't actually do what she was supposed to do. She didn't do the good things, and the values that she thought they were going to represent weren't there.
Yeah.
So then she just fucking takes off, you know, and like it's one of those things where when you're so much happier when you build something, you know, like I built a retaining wall this afternoon. I'm so much happier about that than if I had someone come in and do it for me. And it's that small little bit. It's not much, but it's the thing is like, you can look at it and be like, I accomplished this, not I acquired this. And I think that we've lost that. Like the values system kind of broke, where people think that the more shit you have or the flashier shit you have is actually a representation of who you are, instead of just being like, no, man, I fucking bust my ass 50, 60 hours a week for this place that I've made my own through hard work. You know, it's that, I think it's underrepresented in the movie.
So don't inflate strip clubs, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no.
Not to get too big picture, but this is why, honestly, with a lot of people I know, whether they're atheist, agnostic, whatever they are, I recommend the Bible for no other reason than as philosophy, because all these little things we talk about are in there. What should it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul, right?
Right.
That's what you're talking about right there. There's so much good philosophy in that book that I think a lot of people throw the baby out with the bathwater because of bad experiences they've had. You know what I mean? And there's there's a lot of good wisdom in there, and that rings true in what you're saying about that movie, DK. If you don't earn it, it's going to be hollow. Enough is never going to be enough.
Yeah.
I think, kind of one of
I try to suggest to anyone that I know that if you're going to start reading, and someone that's not familiar, or someone who's not a Christian or is not a believer, but if you want to look to the Bible for those things, start with the book of Proverbs. Mm-hmm. The book of Proverbs is something that is blanket, that can be used in all walks and aspects of life. It's a letter written from a father to a son that gives advice gives just a whole ton of life experience and advice, and it's very good. You don't have to be a believer to understand it. It's very straightforward.
Honestly, that's one of the cool things about the Bible, though. Like from my perspective, is like I don't buy into that's not my religion, so I don't read it like that. But I do like what you guys are talking about, is you read it for like the ideas behind it and how they can apply it in everyday life. And I think a lot of people who are not Christian get really upset about the things that, like maybe they had a bad experience. I don't know, like some people have legitimate reasons to be angry. So
there's a ton of hypocrisy from the people who read that book versus how they apply.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But I think
the people that present the hypocrisy that claim to read that book aren't believers in that book. I'm sorry, but they're not. I mean, I'm just saying. I just know it. But where the hypocrisy comes from is they have a lack of understanding.
Yeah.
I'm just
now like that's something
I'll stand behind that.
On the teaching that's more of an attraction rather than promotion type of thing, right? Like walking that walk is more attractive than some trash mailer you send out to everybody in a given area to come to some bougie event.
Even
that's in the book. Be an example,
right?
Well, yeah,
we're not supposed to be. That's what it is.
It's a combination of all of it. It should be. If you're a Christian, it should be a combination of all. I think that it should, and I don't want to get into this topic that much because that's not kind kind of hoped it wouldn't go that way, but
It's not
but
showgirls.
I don't mind talking about it because it's one of the things that, you know, I kind of know something about a little, and it's a combination of all those. And look, here's the deal. You should be able to look at me in the way that I interact with people and the way that I treat people and the way that I talk to people and the way that I see it as God should shine through me. That's the thing. You know, you should be able to see him through me, through my actions, through my interactions. But it's a combination of all those things. You know, it's a combination
There's a whole lot
of
of
those.
people on.
It's a combination of that outreach and my example, and you know, it's. I believe it all goes together.
Yeah.
For me,
There's a whole lot of people on Sundays leaving the church parking lot, flicking each other the bird, but nothing's shining through there.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal, dude. A lot of people treat that church like a ticket at a laundromat, getting their punch weekly. You know, I got that out of the way for the week, and then there's other people that come in.
Card.
Exactly, and then there's others that come in there and sit in those pews and think that they're blessing God by being there.
Yeah.
Well, here I am, Lord, bless me today. Not asking what you can do today, but asking what he can do for you today. And it's the whole wrong attitude. And I hate it that it puts a bad taste in so many people's mouths. And I'm so much trying to change that. Because for me, I want other people to have what I have. I just do. Am I always, you know, I'm not always cheerful. I'm not always whatever, but I'm always try to be very fair. Yeah. And I always try to treat people, you know, as best I can. And sometimes I'm pushed, but we all are. I'm not perfect, and I don't claim to be perfect.
I got a question.
Okay.
I'm a dumb engineer. COVID just happened for the last 18 minutes.
That's regardless. That's
yeah, it was
okay.
Redundant. I got it. What teachings from the Bible would be good for today? The things that we're going through right now. What the first thing that pops to your head? What lesson do you want to teach?
Oh man, here's the deal, and I'm gonna tell you, there's lessons there to be taught. Now, whether you want to hear them or not, whether I want to hear them or not, or whether you follow through with them. But, you know, I talked some about division today on Twitter. I talked about how division is the most effective tool in the devil's toolbox. He uses it in the church and he uses it in society. And we have to, I don't have to like what someone does, but we need to show more love towards people that we don't understand. I think that's one good place to start. I really do. Now, I may not agree, but I also understand, because I believe that human beings are unique in nature. I want to use the word. I believe that human beings are a unique creation. We're unique from everything else, and we really are, if you think about it. And you know, that person that I might disagree with vehemently, they may be the biggest, you know, nastiest jerk that there was. And they may appear to be, because of what they say and speak, to be the dumbest ass that you have ever seen. I don't think, you know, I can't go by without saying that. But also, too, you know, when I pray, I try to pray for those that I don't agree with. I think that we need to find ways to come to. I think the Bible can provide ways for us to be more unified than what we are, because we have more that unites us than divides us, and that's just the truth. I believe that. I still believe that, right. And not as Americans, but as people. You know, as people. Now, I don't have, you know, I go off about a lot of stuff, and sometimes I don't put my best foot forward, but in all honesty, I think that's where it's at. I think that's, you know, one of the teachings of the Bible is to love your neighbor as God has loved her, as Jesus has loved you. Look, he forgave. Look, I'm as wretched
Cutting out.
Yeah.
Low and as scummy as anybody out
This
there.
would be awesome because it's just not going to make
And
any sense.
and so look, it doesn't make any sense.
No, you don't understand. You're cutting
Yeah,
in
no,
out,
right.
So it sounds
You were
like
cutting out,
someone's
Jack.
fucking, like writing a remix of what you just said, and I'm telling you, it's going to be hilarious because there's even like a little.
Well,
verb
great.
to it.
That's
like,
that's perfect.
I'll
That's
take
great.
a little stab at this too, because I may not be. I'm certainly not as a good example of Christianity as brother Jack over here, but one lesson that I've always liked is Proverbs 3:5, and that it's trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And that can be applied to somebody who doesn't even have faith. Just trust in the goodwill of mankind, and especially in the age of misinformation that we have now, in the age where so many people follow the fear and follow all this doomsday type stuff that we see on TV on a regular, constant basis on loop. If you can trust in that, you know what? Humanity is going to be okay. We're going to be fine. Look out after your own family, set a good example, and everything's going to be all right. And that's kind of one of those things, man, that we've gotten away from it, as a culture altogether, it's like we look to other things for our understanding instead of the good of other people, man. Because I promise you, like, this applied to me personally coming around into recovery, because like, I didn't trust a fucking thing anybody said. I've been running the streets for a long time. We just all talked out of the side of our mouths, it's just how it was. But I would watch your actions. Your actions spoke to me, and I would see exactly what type of person you were. How did you treat? You could talk a good game in a meeting, but when we went out to eat afterwards, how are you treating the server? How you treating
exactly?
The retail worker, how you treating your wife, how you treating your children. Like, that's how I learned how to be a human again. And I don't know, man, that's kind of the thing that I lean upon, is like surrounding myself with good people. That's the understanding of the better part of humanity, not CNN for fucking sure. Not CNN,
I like, dude, I like doing things like around the neighborhood for people, just to fucking do it for them. Like, I fixed my neighbor's lawnmower yesterday. I was just like, yeah, here, I'll fucking help you do it. And it's not ever because, like, like I said, or I don't know if I mentioned earlier, I'm not religious at all. So, all of that sort of thing, I'm not doing it for God or whatever, church, things like that. Just walked over, and she was like, yeah, hey, can you help me? I'm like, yeah, of course, I'll help you. Fixed it. And I don't do that because I'm expecting some sort of reward. I just like doing it because that's my neighbor, and I know it makes my neighborhood better, and I know that I have that sense of community now. So like, she'll invite us over to tea next week. I guarantee it. She's gonna invite us. And it's sort of things like that where you get to go and help out people and do like just your little shit, like right around your house, and make everyone else's lives better. Like, that should not be a weird thing, and it shouldn't be something that is uniquely religious or anything like that. That should just be a lesson that we're teaching everybody, regardless of what you believe or what you think. It's just like, no, fucking help out around your house, like around your neighborhood. Do good things. Like, it's not hard. It doesn't take a couple minutes. It's a couple minutes, but it's not anything. Shit, I'm fucking rambling again. Someone should have fucking cut me off.
No, that's good,
cut me
man.
off. God damn it.
Because brother,
let me do this.
Whether you realize it or not, that's closer to the teachings we're all talking about than 99% of the people who profess to follow it.
Exactly.
To be 100% honest with you, man.
No, it's doing action for now and not expecting payment for now. It's just the same thing as, here we go, Showgirls. Yeah. She was doing things for the moment instead of doing things that were longer lasting for herself, right? Same thing with you, BK. You helped out a neighbor, and then down the road, the neighbor's going to do something nice for you.
Right.
It's so dorking out here. Austrian economics. This is time preference, right?
Yep. Bingo.
It's all, another thing is human action. Human action is this giant circle, and then inside of it, economics fits inside of it. But if you expand all these ideas of economics to everything that you do, the more that you push your stuff forward into the future, the better off today is actually. Like right now, if I wanted to go learn to code, that's great because I'm not going to get paid for it, but I could go do something later on a side job. But if I function stack that and go, hey, oldest son, come here. We're going to learn coding together. I'm going to teach you. We're going to learn together. Now I just push that knowledge, not even just a couple weeks down the road for me to help on a project. I pushed it down 40, 50 years down the road.
Generationally.
Generationally. By taking time to work into the future actually solves the problems now. And that's what we're not doing. Right now, we're just trying to solve problems for today. And if we start solving problems for tomorrow, and as far as forward as we can, not just our futures, our retirements, not just our kids getting to 18, we're pushing to our great grandkids' life. If we're doing stuff to our great grandkids, the world changes almost immediately overnight, even though that we're working for our great grandchildren. That's what we need to do. That's all the problems that we see today will be solved if we just all start working 4 generations ahead, 3 generations.
Two things on that, Jay, because I completely agree with you. So what's the saying? The wise man plants trees under which he won't even sit underneath the shade of, or something, something like that. He knows he won't get to sit under the shade of because they won't grow till long after he's gone. He's basically planting the trees so the next generation can enjoy it, right? Do you think, this is a genuine question to you guys, do you think that is possible in such a fractured, divisive society like we have today? And do you think the people that control this society know that, and that's why they don't push the issue of planting trees? They just make us focus on solution for today, like you're talking about, and that way we never end up planting those trees and enjoying the fruits of our labor as a society.
Well, yeah, I mean, going back to the money, our money is debt, and debt makes us live in the moment. We can't plan in the future if we're always paying off debt right now, right? So, but once you get out of debt and you start saving, then your mindset totally changes to okay, I'm going to save for this. I want to buy land. Oh, this land's kind of cool. You know, it'd be even better if I planted a whole bunch of pecan trees on it, just like you said. But the thing is, a pecan tree takes 50 years before it starts dropping pecans. I will never see that value. But every year that those trees get bigger, the more value the land became, the more valuable it is for my family. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what they think. It's about getting to a moment in which we are now working for the future instead of today. The moment that we start that, it doesn't matter what everybody else around us is doing. Because the people that are the richest, the most powerful, they are working 3 generations, 10 generations, 100 generations into the future. And that's where we need to be too, as people, as our kids, teaching the lessons that, man, I wish I would have learned that at 7 years old or 13 years old. And it's like, yes, I wish I would have done this. Make sure that you teach your kids this same lesson. Here's why. And then we go do it.
I don't disagree at all, man. That's really kind of think what frustrates me the most about all this shit is that you can just watch, like I take the last 20 years and you can just see where like we all remember them where we're like, this is a bad idea. This is going to come back to kick us in the ass. We're not thinking long term. And you watch politics, for last fucking 50 years, if you want, where they're thinking 2 years down the road, 4 years down the road. And that's the plan. That's the policy. And then you start to realize like, holy shit, that is just not the right way to think. Like we have to actually rephrase the conversation and say, no, we got to start thinking 10 years down the road. We got to start thinking 50 years down the road. We got to be better for our kids because the people in front of us weren't better for us.
No, going back to your example about helping people in the neighborhood, I had mentioned that I helped a couple neighbors in my neighborhood, and there was one guy that commented is like, don't do that. They're going to take advantage of you. And I'm like, I don't care if they take advantage of me. I'm here to help my neighbors because I want them to be in a better position so I don't have to worry about them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, funny, 2 days later, I had 3 other neighbors come to my door, knock, and ask if I would help them. And not only did I help them, and I was going to say no money, but then they were dropping $40, $100, $200, and I barely did anything.
Yeah.
And it was just, no, all I did was walk up and down the street a few times with my tools, helping different people. That was it.
Yep.
I paid it forward, and then people noticed. And that's it. And that's how it's as simple as that. All the stuff that we need to do now is it's not for COVID. It's not for lockdown 2022. It's for my son 2030, right? My son's 2030. That's the new goal. I need to start my own company. So that way 2030 comes around. I have something now that my kids could come over and work at. So they don't have to go into a corporate world in which they have to have 1 million vaccines to work. Because it's like, no, we just work here. We work under the thing. If it doesn't work here, we'll move somewhere else and take the business somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's kind of like my rub on it too. When it comes to charity, when it comes to doing good things for a fellow man, I really do think that, government welfare has done a number on destroying that part of the human experience. How many times do you hear somebody say, I'm not going to give that bum money. There's a food shelter downtown, or they could get on food stamps, or they could do this, or they could do that, instead of just like giving a helping hand, and even we put the onus on the church even, we've seen that shift happen. Rather than doing something good for that person we see struggling, it's almost like we put that responsibility on other people because it's just too much of a time preference issue, like you were talking about, Jay, or at the moment. That bugs the shit out of me, and it's just kind of, I realize that we live in a fast-paced world now. If you're out and about, you probably have a schedule to keep to and an agenda and this and that, but there's still people out there that could use a helping hand, and just saying, oh, go get food stamps is not the way to do it, man. And that's kind of something that I'm trying to teach my kid, trying to impart on my daughters that, like, this is part of the human experience, helping other people, being of service, it doesn't matter whether or not they're, obviously it's a benefit if they're able to help you out in the future, but even if they're not, just doing something good for somebody else kind of keeps that ego in check,
because it's not about them, man. I mean, honestly, that's when you're doing a good thing, is when it's not even about them. I do that shit because I want to do that shit. Like, these are people that I know and I see every day, and it makes me happy to fucking take care of something. So, like, boom, here, I got nothing. I got nothing else going. I'm gonna help you, and that's it. I don't care if I get shit back, man. I don't need shit. Yeah,
I don't remember what part of the Bible it talked about karma, but that's karma, right? You play it forward, and then you get what you. Everybody is like, oh, it's because you steal from somebody that something bad will happen to you. Somebody will steal from you. It's not. It's this bubble. You create this bubble around you as you move through time, and the more good things that you do, and the more people around you that do good things, this bubble grows and grows and grows, and it moves forward into the future. So all the good things that our grandparents did, some of our parents, boomers, great grandparents did, that moved all the way to our generation. That bubble was already hit 2010 when we were living. Like, all the good stuff that they did hit a point to 2010. And we have to do the same thing, because that bubble is gone. It popped. And now we have to start building a new bubble that pushes forward in time. And as people do that, the consequences become easier on us. Life becomes easier when we move forward. So, yeah, I just did a BK and got to a little.
You totally BK'd the shit out of that.
No, you know what though? You're 100% right, Jay. I think, and I don't know if this is just anecdotal or this is my feelings. I don't know if it's just something I've observed. I think we're hitting a new, not era, not new paradigm. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for exactly, but I think that whether we like it or not, humans tend to be tribal. And when you had a community of Italians all in the same neighborhood, or you had a little China, or you had a little Korea or whatever, I think it was easier for people to be community driven and charitable. And I think that we were just starting to make strides in these areas where there were diverse communities and people weren't surrounded by not only people that didn't look like them, but didn't think like them. And I think we were starting to make strides there. And part of me wonders if a lot of this division and derision isn't by design to keep humans in that state of not helping each other, so they're reliant on Uncle Sam for all of his bullshit and the way that goes about. It just makes me wonder.
Yeah, here it is: evil or stupid. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I know exactly what you mean. Evil or stupid. Yep.
The result
What is it?
the same, and the thing is the result's the same, but the solution is the same. It doesn't matter if they were just stupid, bad people or evil planning this out to do it. It still happened, and the solution is the same. So we don't need to we don't need to figure out if they're evil. They are evil. It doesn't matter if they're stupid. They are stupid. The solution's still the same.
So how are y'all doing that in your home? Like how do y'all teach your kids? Jack, I know that you've done a lot of work both with Sunday school efforts, but you also talk about like food programs and stuff like that. But how are some ways that you guys are kind of teaching that element to your kids?
Jack?
Well, I mean, once again, I just have to go back I try to put the best example forward for them. That's the only way that I ever learned was to physically do it. And getting them involved in those things has been very beneficial. And, I have 3 young men that are very willing to help whoever, whenever. And it's just been by their involvement from the time that they were big enough to remember anything at all. And it was my duty to have them involved in those kinds of things and volunteering and helping others and just all the things that you guys have been talking about. I saw it as this is how it needs to go. This is what they need to learn. This is how they need to conduct themselves. But I had to do it myself too. I had to put that forward. I had to be that person that stepped forward to help, to volunteer, not to be coerced into doing it, but doing it because I wanted to do it, because I wanted to help people.
Right.
In every way that I can, there's all different ways. There's all different ways to help, whether it's monetary, where it's actually physically helping, whether it's just visiting someone, whatever that it is, and just try to give them that example. I don't know if that's much of an answer, but I think it's up to the parents, especially the fathers, to be that example to their families. And my wife is far better example than I am. There's a lot of times that I put up resistance to doing some things, and she's out front, and she's a fine example to me. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's much of an answer.
No, it is. It is. I don't know if it's inherently the flaw maybe in the individualistic mindset is the reluctance to try to build, together despite difference. We don't make the joke about herding cats for no reason.
Well, that's true.
And it just, there's something to be said there as an example of like watching maybe the people that we don't necessarily agree with and how they can, they can take over entire institutions, it seems, almost overnight, work towards just one common single goal when, meanwhile we end up screaming at each other about, whether 21-year-old is dating a 17-year-old is, rape and deserves a wood chipper or not for 10 years on Twitter, while we're still sending our kids to their institutions to get brainwashed to hate us. There's a time for dissecting philosophy and theory, and there's a time for building institutions and otherwise, and community and everything else. And I think, as a group, we might all be a little lacking in that area as far as the building goes.
Well, that's not our job. We live on the fringe. We're weird people. Our job isn't to create communities. I mean, some of us are good at it. All the big podcasters, Dave Smith, Tom Woods. I mean, they are good at creating communities. Michael Malice.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's not our job. Our job is to be on the fringe, coming up with new ideas, so somebody could take it and then run with it. And being on the fringe causes chaos and it causes arguing. But our job is to go through the chaos, organize it, and come up with a solution so other people can use it to run with it. And it sucks. It's frustrating, but that's who we are. That's our job in the society, is to live there on the fringe, to say that's stupid. Let's do it this way. Oh, I guess I screwed up, but good thing Jack was here and all his contracting prowess, and he built the roundabout perfect. So that's I mean, we got to understand what our job is, and that's our job. Our job is to problem solve. Our job is to come up with Bitcoin. Our job is to come up with a website in which, when food goes bad and farmers and ranchers are trying to sell cows, they're still selling them at $2.50 a pound, but they're somehow $30 a pound for a steak in our grocery store.
Yeah, that's
so we need to connect. So we need people coming up with a system. It's like, oh, I go press here, here, here. Oh, look at this person's about to sell a cow. Let's get 20 of us signed up for this one cow. We break the cow up into 20 parts, and now I fill up my a small freezer, and we're all good to go.
Yeah,
we solved that problem, and then we're on to the next one. Now, those other people that love congregating, getting into groups, they're going to take it over. They're going to make it bigger, and then they're going to screw it up. And then it's our job to now go find another solution for their screw up. That's where we're at. It's our job to solve the problems.
I like
that. That's interesting, man.
Made me feel better about being on the fringe. I like
that.
And I'm going to go get a beer now. I'll be back.
Hey, there it is. No, that's
the way to do it. Make a good point and dip out. That's the way to do
it. No questions. Be like,
I mean, but there is
fucking great shit. Listen, before the end of this show, remind me to tell you what just happened when I dipped out for a second, because it's actually a clip that you might want to keep.
Well, no time like the present, man. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, so there I am. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go grab a cigarette real quick, jump outside, and I'm peeing. And my neighbors just had their first kid, right?
Okay.
So they get back from the hospital and pull up into the driveway, and I'm pissing on my shed when they get out of the car. So here they are having this momentous occasion where they're bringing their child home for the first time. and I'm now with this finger in my mouth, pissing on the shed, and I'm like,
"Oh God, man!"
I'm like, "Hey, welcome home."
It's like a shitter's full moment right there. Dude, from
the only thing was, like, I almost want to just be like, let me hold the kid, like, just, like, just to really fuck with them. But yeah, I'm not gonna live that one down, and the wife's gonna hear about it tomorrow.
You just welcome to.
And now you're on a registry.
Oh, dude, like, Jesus fucking Christ, you actually might not be wrong about that.
Man,
fuck.
All right, bad.
Hey, just a second, I got to talk to my Fed. Carl, listen, dude, that was a total bullshit story. Fucking joke. Sit back, relax. It wasn't real. It never happened. My neighbors will back me up on it. Fucking prick. All right, it's just Carl. Me and Carl talk all the time.
You're just tight.
Damn it, Carl.
Well, they so we had, we kind of got off on this little talk earlier, I want to kind of loop back around to it though, is that, on these vaccine things, we touched on it heavily in that last episode we did, but we didn't have Jay here with us. So I kind of wanted to hear from you, like, what's it looking like out in your neck of the woods as far as like these mandates rolling around and anything that's happened with the local schools and all of that?
Yeah. So I live in northern Alabama, up by Mississippi and Tennessee. And honestly, it's a small town. It's off the interstate. And things have been pretty normal. Most people don't wear masks to the stores. Kind of goes up and down a little bit, and it depends on what store. If you're going to Publix, then more people wear masks. But if you're going to the Walmart, less people wear it. Schools, there's a few Christian schools that don't require masks. I think everybody else does require a mask, which is horrible for the kids and the teachers. In general, we're not connected to Washington, D.C. like everybody else. It sounds like they are. It feels pretty normal. There isn't lines at the hospitals to get PCR tests like there was last year at this time. So everything feels good, and it's exactly like Florida. There's no difference between here and what you see in Florida. So for me, it's not that big of a deal. But I do live pretty close to Huntsville, and that's where Space Force is. And I'm curious if there's going to be a push from Space Force out to start changing the way Alabama is.
So like Space Force is a thing now, right? I guess.
Huntsville has doubled its size. Huntsville is now the largest city in Alabama. So it's huge. Houses are, they're not even big houses. They're just houses with 2 stories, and they're going $400,000. There's neighborhoods going up everywhere. It's growing, and it's growing big.
Wait, all because of Space Force?
NASA in general.
Okay.
Facebook moved in. Google is putting a data center in. So yeah, all the tech companies are kind of centralizing themselves around NASA.
They're running to the red states now because they know they fucked everything else up.
It's NASA. They're going to NASA. Everything's getting built around NASA. They're running stuff for NASA. The CIA is building. FBI is building around here. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're fucked. You're totally fucked. You're the first one going, man. Of all of us, like they're gonna fucking snap you up in no time.
When Jay goes dark, we're in.
It's like that's when everyone else is like, all right, I'm out.
I'm the canary.
Yeah, you might as well start singing Rocky Top Tennessee right now, buddy.
Dude, so a couple weeks ago, I went down to that wedding in Ohio, right? I meant to tell the story to a couple of you guys, but I fucking forgot, and then I just got lazy and didn't want to. But for 2 nights, I was staying in a hotel where they were having like an FBI and law enforcement convention. So ooh. I am sitting, I'm staying in a hotel that is just full of feds, and I'm fucked up almost the entire time, and I'm laughing my ass off because they all look the same. It's like that picture from the fucking Washington March where like it was just all bros, like you're like, oh yeah, those motherfuckers are FBI. It was like that everywhere, and I'm just sitting there, I'm kind of sitting, like after a little bit, I'm going, man, should I fuck with these dudes, or is it's a bad idea? And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, watch this when we walk out next time, just pay attention, because she's that, like my wife's never fucking, I don't think she's actually ever honestly broken the law. I don't like any law, and that's crazy because almost everybody's broken the law. She never has. And I'm like, she doesn't look for cops. Like that's not her thing. So I was telling her, I'm like, hey, pay attention to this, watch this, like everything. And then all of a sudden she's like, holy shit, they're all fucking cops. I'm like, I fucking told you. So it's 7:30 in the morning on after our first night, it's 7:30 in the morning, and I'm up. And I look outside, and every truck and SUV that was parked backwards in their spot left at the same time, and I go,
tactical parking.
Dude, it was
Tactical
the
parking.
second night that I stayed there was the most paranoid night I have ever had in my entire fucking life. Because I'm like, all right, so if I walk like 2 miles to smoke a bowl, I should be good. And then I'm like, but I gotta go north because the wind's coming from the west. Like all this shit, because it was fucking terrifying, and they were everywhere. And it was some shit,
dude. Check this out. So in my freshman years as a drug fiend, I was working at Domino's Pizza, delivering pizzas, and I just picked up an 8-ball of Coke. Right, this is my last run for the night, my last delivery.
Yep.
And my guy said, "Hey, I got it." I dropped by, picked up the 8-ball, and I went to go to this really fancy addition, neighborhood on the north side of town. Knock on the door, fucking DEA agent answers, full regalia. Okay, they were raiding this dude's house in order to fucking pizza.
Shit.
I got an 8-ball of Coke in my car. They didn't tip, bastards, but it was like, dude, I was like checking that. I drove
how
from the
did you
rearview
not
mirror
shit
all the way
yourself?
back. Oh man, it was bad. It was,
dude, I would have been terrified, like shaking.
Not good. Not good.
Growing up,
friend.
my mom had let slip that her cousin's husband, we called him Uncle Frank. He wasn't technically my uncle or anything, but he was a DEA agent. And so at all the family reunions when we get together, nobody knew this. This was the family secret. Nobody knew what he did for a living except for me. And I used to watch all my older cousins sitting around, sneaking out the back door, smoking dope. And I would watch him sit there with like his legs shaking, watching them go outside, knowing what they were doing. And I was the only one who knew, and I couldn't let the secret out.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Woo. Pressure cooker shit right there, guys.
Yeah, it was.
Well, what happened when you learned? How did your relationship change with him? Did it?
We were never close to begin with.
Okay.
To be 100% honest with you, because I mean, look, like I said, he's not a direct blood relative of mine. We weren't very close to begin with, but he was your 1980s Miami Vice DEA agent guy. He didn't have time for anything that was going on. You know what I mean? It was literally like he was a good-looking guy with a mustache. He looked like Magnum PI, and that's no joke.
That's
so it was like,
bad.
Yeah, Magnum PI. Take Don Johnson's personality from Miami Vice. That's what he was like at the family reunions. There was always that air of superiority.
Yeah.
He was probably coked out of his head too.
Oh, guarantee.
Guarantee. Without a doubt, man. Well, let's get into this, man. How do y'all approach having, I would assume that at least most of us have probably dabbled in crazy shit. I know for a fact at least 2 of us have. How is that a conversation you have as fathers with your kids? Or how are you planning to have that conversation?
Straight out, open and honest. That's
Honesty.
how I've started with mine. My 14-year-old knows, first of all, she knows you're not going to be able to get away with shit because I did it all when I was your age.
Yeah.
But more importantly, just being honest with her about, I explained to her, do you remember the messaging that we all got when we were growing up? One hit and you might be addicted. And, and so then when you take that first hit, and you're not addicted, and your life isn't ruined, and nothing happens other than you eat some brownies and have a good time with your friends, it's like the whole paradigm that they tried to pump into our heads it popped like a bubble, right? Like a balloon. And so, to me, none of that was ever a big deal. It only became a big deal when it became a big deal. But with, my daughter, I've just tried to be 100% honest about it and explain, like, look, people do drugs not because they suck and they're terrible and they're no fun. People do drugs because they're fun. And, there are some drugs that I think that, I don't even know why we necessarily call them drugs, because I don't consider pot in the same category as, horse ketamine or fentanyl. so there's some things I've told her. I said, look, if that's what you want to partake in recreationally, I'm not going to be mad at you about it, as long as you do your homework, treat it like it's not a toy, and you go into it prepared, and you don't do it recreationally and habitually. But there are other things that if I catch you on, that we're going to have an instantaneous intervention, and we're going to have to go somewhere and get you off of them, because I don't want to see you walk down certain paths that I did before. My main thing with them, with all of them really, but especially the older one now, is use your head. I would be not only hypocritical, but I also think it probably is part of the human experience to partake in things that alter your brain waves and alter your paradigm and alter your consciousness. I think it's the way you go about those things that make a difference. I don't know what type of brain my 14-year-old has. I don't know if she has that addict brain thing. I don't know yet. And I may not know for a while, but my main thing with her is, go into it with your eyes open and with your head attached, whatever you're going to go into, whether that's drugs, work, relationships, school, don't go into anything blind. And that's as open and honest as I can be with her about that subject.
Yeah. What about you other guys, man?
BK?
Well, I don't know. I look at all of these things with my kid in the same way, like with drugs, as I do with like power tools, guns, knives, anything actually genuinely dangerous and can hurt you. Is I tell them, is like, if you learn enough about it and you know how to handle it, you're going to be okay. Some of them are dangerous and some of them are very dangerous. You got to fucking decide for yourself. And that's just kind of how I treat him with everything, though. It's just like, dude, here's the shit. Like, he's young. I still got years to kind of
to mess this up.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
totally fucking
Without a
like,
doubt.
Less than you think, though, brother. Less than you think, man.
But like, I know that he's not going to be around drugs for a long time. Outside of like, he might hang out and help me like trim my pot plants, like shit like that. But that's fucking like that's fine. What I'm saying is like, when it comes to the hard shit and the dangerous shit, like I've dealt with it enough and been around enough to know that the less information you have, the more likely you are to get in a bad situation with it. Because if no one tells you about how it works and what it does to you and what it does and like the long-term effects, we were talking long-term effects earlier, like long-term effects of addiction is something that no one talks about. They don't understand that even if you do get sober, if you spent too much time on something, it's still going to fucking carry with you. It doesn't go away. And to be honest with them about it and be like, look, this is why it's dangerous. I get that it's cool and I get that it feels good. Trust me, like I've been there. But you got to understand that there's a whole lot more worse with it than there is good. That good's fucking, a couple minutes, couple hours maybe. If you know a good dealer, 4 or 5. But the fact is that wears off. But the effects from it, mentally, emotionally, physically, they don't. They stick with you. So sort your shit out and fucking recognize, like, I'm not going to be pissed if the kid smokes a joint like that. I'm going to be like, yeah, dude, let me fucking hit that. Like, that's cool. That's good. I know it. Like, I did the same thing when I was young. So I'm like, yeah, teenager. It's not great for your fucking mental development, but fuck it. Whatever, dude. You're leaving in a couple of years anyway, so I don't have to worry about it. But all the other stuff after that, like the hard shit, I want them to just know, like, this is fucked up. This will wreck your life. This will wreck your life. This will wreck other people's lives. This will take you to a place that you don't want to go. And if you don't fucking and trust me, because I've seen it and I've been there and I've walked that road and I know where it ends, and anyone who's been through it knows where it ends. And that's what I want to know.
That's good shit. Jay?
Well, as a dad, as a parent, I have 2 jobs. The first one The most important one is make sure my kids don't die, right? And I only have to worry about that like 0.00001% of the time. I get a couple times at the pool. That's it, right?
Did you do these numbers? You did, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I mark down everything that they do, and then I say, did they die? Nope. And then, could they have died? Nope. But the second job is to work my way out of that first job, right? Is to give them the tools to make their own decisions in life. And I don't think my parents were proactive that way, right? I don't think nobody thought it was like, how do I become a good parent? So just that idea of being like all the way that you guys said is like, I'm going to tell you guys the right and wrong. I'm going to be honest with you, blah, blah, blah. So thinking it in that way, it's like, okay, I'm actively right now trying to teach you something. So that way, when you come to this situation, you know that there's rights, or there's things that could be good and things could be bad. So going through life and teaching them moments that's like, okay, this is now your job to make this decision. Are you going to make the right decision? Because there's going to be negative consequences. And just being really active about that. But my kids are also really, really young. It's 3 and 6. So I still got a long ways for the drug conversations. But I'm not scared of drugs. I'm not like, I'm out here drinking a beer. I'm sure that they're going to do something similar in their time in life. Yeah. It's more about, hey, when you become an adult, you get to make these decisions. So make sure that you do it right. That's all I've got to so far at 6 years into being a parent.
I mean, it sounds like a good approach, man. What about you, Jack? You there?
I think he keeps getting booted.
Guys, I'm having connection issues. I don't know. I didn't hear half that conversation, so I really don't know that I have anything to add.
Well, what was your approach with your kids when it came to?
I got a better question. What's your approach with your grandkids once you start becoming a granddad?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. And he's
gone. You know, the best approach.
Dang it, man. We were doing good.
The best approach, and he's out.
He's gone. Best approach is to dip.
And this is legitimately like the one thing that you really want to listen to Talk about, because you know he's coming in with like some straight fucking knowledge.
Yeah, straight
pap wisdom.
Yo.
Straight pap wisdom.
Oh, man, he's going to be so pissed. That just makes me laugh, too.
He's going to throw his phone.
His internet connection has become a recurring character on this podcast.
Well, and it's just that's one of those things that like it makes me laugh so much when this happens to him, because he's the one person that you legitimately are just like, okay, you go ahead and talk. But I know it drives him nuts right now because he's sitting somewhere looking at it like his computer, his phone, fucking bitching with a glass of bourbon and a cigar, just going, this motherfucker, you know, and you could just see him go.
The wheel turning, the fire's going. Do I throw it in the fire?
Coffee going, like drinking, like angry drinking coffee, just pouring bourbon in
it. Coffee, hot, just steaming the whole time.
Just go, oh, it's too hot. Shit.
Well, I know, like, because that's in what you guys talked about, what you said you were going to do is kind of, I think, the route that I'm going to take with it. And, you know, Evan, like what you were saying really resonated with me, especially when it comes to, you know, if we like demonize a lot of this stuff in our kids' minds whenever they do try it, because they likely will try something. But if you demonize it and they found out that, hey, he wasn't telling the truth on this, you know, that's going to be the next logical step they take in their minds regarding everything. I know that's how it was for me. I mean, having the DARE officer equate pot to heroin was not a good thing, you know.
You lose all credibility instantaneously.
Yeah. Yes.
Instantaneously. Well, did you guys see the recent Rogan episode with that CNN doctor, that Gupta on Rogan?
Oh yeah.
And I thought that in Joe Rogan is by no means an intellectual. But I think the smartest thing he said on there was, if you guys are lying about something so stupid and so meaningless about whether or not a dumb comedian is taking like doctor prescribed human drugs or whether they're taking veterinarian horse paste, what else are you guys lying about? And that's the method that I'm trying to take with my oldest is, I don't want to lie to you about even the smallest of the things, because then when it comes to the big things, you're not gonna hear the message on the bigger things, and that's the best I can hope for with her. Buddy of mine asked me how I raise my kids, and the only thing I could think to tell him, I don't really have a method other than I don't want to teach my kids what to think. I just want to teach them how to think, and whatever conclusion they come to, and I'll be proud of them for coming to it as long as they have thought of it.
I want to add one thing real quick. And
sure.
So it's drugs, but it's guns. With my kids, there's guns in the house, and I'm teaching my oldest gun safety. Right now, just a BB gun hitting squirrels on the backyard.
There you go.
But it's like, I have these guns here. These guns are here. If you want to go shoot them, we'll go out and do it. So just come tell me. Like, I'm not going to make it this weird, scary thing that's locked up so that you feel like you have to go hide behind my back and go play with it, right?
Yep.
I want you to know that it's okay. They're there. We could go play with them. We could go shoot them. We could do whatever. It's not some weird hidden thing that you have to explore dangerously by yourself. And I feel like it's the same discussion that you two are having, or three, about drugs. It's like, some are good, some are bad. They could all be good. They could all be bad. Well, most of them can be just bad.
Yeah.
But let's not sugarcoat it. Come talk to me. I'm not going to be the cop here to arrest you when you do something wrong. I'm here to be your guide to get you through some of these parts. So
I feel like that's honestly like what I'm trying to do with my kids with every topic, whether it's gun safety, whether it's drugs, whether it's sex, whether it's politics. It is, like you said, Jay, not be the cop. I mean, and be honest. I can remember my old man coming to me like a month before I left for college trying to have this sex talk. I'm like, dude, I've already had 3 pregnancy scares. Thanks for trying, but it's a little late at this point. You know what I mean? And like, I will give him credit on some things that, like, you know, we did have a talk about, you know, drugs, but it was that, like, all drugs are bad. The first time you try it, you're addicted and you're going to ruin your life. And that didn't happen. And, you know, I don't want to lose that credibility with my daughter. And I don't care how tough the conversation has to be, whether it's around sex, whether it's around, I don't care, whatever it is. I don't want to lose that credibility with her. Because once that's gone, I mean, we all know, if you lose trust in somebody, how difficult is it to gain it back? Mainly, it's impossible.
It takes a long fucking time.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, you know, I love my wife, but, you know, realistic with my daughter, like, with my kids, that's the one relationship I don't want to lose the trust with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, and that's a weird thing. Like, because tornadoes, shit. He's just briefly past 5, so it's a weird time where I can, like, tell him stuff that's, you know, like, I can be like I can explain how things work or what stuff is, and he's like, oh, okay, cool, and retains the knowledge. But he's not like at that advanced level where it's like, hey, listen, man, there's 14 different levels of nuance to this one concept alone, and you got to fucking work your way through it before you get, like, before it gets thrown at you in your life. You know, like, he's not there yet.
Yeah.
But I want to try to set, like, the basics for
the foundation.
The foundation. Yeah, thank you. Where I'm like when he asks me a question, I just basic answer honest. Like, I don't try to fucking tell him anything different. You know, like if he's asking, like he sees like he's watching a video on YouTube of like predators and prey, like when he asks me what happens, I'm not going to be like, oh, that animal went to sleep, or something like that. I'm not going to fuck around with him. I'm like, well, listen, man, that fucking lion just took down that zebra because it was hungry. That's a predator. The zebra was prey. It killed it and it ate it. And like, that's what I say to him, and I try to make it and like to establish that just like, no, if I say something, it's because it's true. No other reason. And I'm not going to bullshit you. And like, I know sometimes I kind of like, I know that I come off harsh with him when I do that because it's not pretty, but I also understand that a couple years down the road, when I say the same things, I know he's just going to be like, all right, chill.
Yeah.
He actually, this is serious. Like it's not me fucking around. It's me being like, yo, dude, check your shit.
Jay, to go back to your question about like, when you're talking about like biblical philosophy and stuff, that one's in there too. Build your house on a solid foundation, on a foundation made of stone. That's what you're doing, BK, building on stone rather than on sand. Because you're right. If you don't build that now, like, it wouldn't mean shit if I went up to my 14-year-old and started saying all this to her. If her entire life I told her that, the lion and the zebra are dancing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where you got to start. And
just, but like, keep it simple, keep it basic, just be like, yeah, dude, this is what's up. This is just like the bare bones. What the fuck happened? And then let them learn, like, don't give them any interpretation of it. Don't give them anything that, like they're not going to understand or might actually influence the way they think. Just be like, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Run with it, dude.
And here's where I'm screwing up, guys, with the whole dad thing is that I don't know if it's screwing up. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but like, so one of the things that I'll do at night, my daughter's 12, she has a cell phone just to make sure that she's not up all hours of the night, texting, doing or whatever. I'll take the cell phone. I've kind of gotten into the habit of looking through her text messages and just kind of making sure, like, who is she keeping in contact with? And instead of just like internalizing that and figuring a way to work around that, I'll be like, hey, you were on this app. You're not supposed to be, you know what I mean? Like I found it.
Yeah.
And and I think I'm paving the roadway for her to like dive further into secrecy. And I mean, dude, I'm a Neanderthal when it comes to tech. It's a fucking miracle I have a podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
and
not
she's gonna get better at it, brother.
Bro, I'm telling you, man. Like, so I'm like way out of my league on this, trying to, outsmart a 12-year-old when it comes to technology. She's going to figure this out. And I can already see she's at that age where she's looking for approval from her peers more than she is looking to me or, her mom.
Yep.
And so it's like the storm is brewing and it's like, man, I want to put the brakes on this, but fuck, that helicopter parent thing comes out and I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's tough, man. I don't know if there's a good solution for that, to be 100% honest with you. I really don't. I mean, right now, I'm lucking out. My 14-year-old's got a good head on her shoulders. I can tell you right now, Drew, I'll be in the position, the exact one you're in, 10 times deeper when my 8-year-old hits 14.
Yeah.
I can see it coming from a mile away. So I hear you loud and clear. I don't know that there's any good way to have an iron fist and have that work out. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Yeah. And I think that's cycling back to what we originally talked about that short-term versus long-term thing. I think the iron fist thing is short-term. And I think that open communication, even when I may not agree with what she's doing, I think that's the long-term thing.
So I had a teaching moment with my son. He was kind of being the bully at school. He didn't want to play with the new kid, and he was making fun. I was like, oh, that guy's going to be at the party. I'm like, and my wife was like, oh, is he a bully? Is he picking on you? I'm like, no, it's the other way around. You could do it. Right? And so I went down, and we went to the room, and I sat down, and I talked. It was like, all right, so when you're in a group setting, there's moments where your brain will trick you into doing the wrong thing. you will follow the group. If you feel that there's something wrong, then you're probably right. There's something wrong here. And what I did was I showed him this video of an old show from the 90s called Brain Games. And it was
I remember that show.
yeah, and it was this. The setup was it was an eye doctor appointment, and the waiting room was full of actors. And then the first lady walks in, and she sits down, and all of a sudden a buzz happens, and they stand up. Yep,
Everybody stands up.
everybody stands up, and she's looking around. It's like, what's going on? And they sit back down. And then the buzz happens again. Everybody stands up. She's looking around. What's going on? The third buzz, she decides to stand up and sit back down. And then the next part of the test was they start taking out all the actors. All the actors except for her are out of the room because they went to their appointment. And then they started bringing in new people.
Yeah.
And those new people, and as soon as the first new person sat down, the buzz happened. She stood up, and the guy asked her, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I don't know." Everybody just stood up with the buzz. So he does it. And then the whole room fills with just regular people. And every time the buzz happens, everybody stands up. And I showed him that. It's like, you see, there's this weird bug. It even happens in adults that people will just start doing things. Even if they know it's wrong, they don't understand why they're doing it, but the group will make your brain do something. So step back, look at this moment. When it feels like it's not quite right, you're probably right. Don't listen to the crowd. Have this moment. Anytime that you feel like something isn't quite right, your brain, your gut, your body is telling you the right thing. Follow that.
Hey, amen. Brother, that's so funny. I just had the 14-year-old version of that conversation with my daughter where I literally just told her, I don't care what you do for a living. I don't care what you do, who you're with as a partner. I don't care about anything in your life. I will be proud of you as long as you are thinking for yourself. And that behavior, the one thing I'm definitely afraid of is her being an NPC.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm definitely afraid of. I don't want to raise my kids to be NPCs. And that's the one thing that I wouldn't be proud of. If it was just information in, run program, execute program.
Right.
Yeah. Dude.
That's the one thing that would kill me.
Libertarians have that program. We have that program.
Yeah.
It's built in. It's so easy. All of us have this. Some of us seem to be more immune to others. I had to be taught. I'm pretty sure I was an NPC for most of my life. I was the good kid raising the hand, autistic, knew all the answers, blah, blah, blah. It took me a while to get out of that mindset. I had to go down a long path before I made it there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's built in. We are all NPCs at something. And to just have that self-awareness is wait, what's going on? Why is everybody doing this?
Yeah.
That one weird question. That's all you need to ask. And it's fine to ask that question.
Did you guys were you ever Republican or Democrat or anything in the political spectrum, or were you always just kind of independent and doing your own thing?
I was always a contrarian. My first election I could vote.
I'm not shocked by that at all, Jay.
Well, the first vote I could was Al Gore and Bush. And everybody said that Bush was horrible, and I believed him. And everybody said Al Gore was horrible, and I believed him. So I actually voted for Harry Brown. But I had no idea what the Libertarian Party was or what it did or what it was about. And after that, I kind of just went to college, got drunk for a while. I think I kind of became more Republican because of talk radio, but it wasn't quite right. And then podcasts started happening, and then I went to the crazy rabbit hole to where I am today, where I'm basically, I am an anarchist, but I don't even know what that means anymore. I thought I understood about it a year ago, and now it's just so much nuance that nobody seems to want to think about. And the NPCs and libertarian world, the NPCs and anarchist world, they're all there. Even the people that act like they're tough and think they're smarter than everybody else, there's some NPC thing about them. Everybody feels like a robot, and I'm in a Truman Show.
Yeah, dude, the amalgamation of anarchism and all of these other cultural things has made it the political landscape just so fucking weird.
Yeah.
You have like prepubescent children on social media claiming to have an entire identity centered around a damn philosopher from like 100 years ago, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it, so I just kind of stay in my lane. So I get that, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, like I like kind of dipping my toes into it every once in a while and like actually having political discourse. Personally, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this at all. I generally don't take things very seriously. So
No.
yeah, I'm dead serious,
No.
man. I'm coming clean right now. Like
So
this is the
squirrels?
market tonight. Like this
So
is
You like squirrels?
no, fuck that shit. Right? Like that's like some showgirl shit. Fucking, you're gonna get me on a rant because fuck squirrels, dude. Squirrels are the shittiest fucking animals on the planet. Hate those little fucking bastards. I gotta kill one. Fucking back. It was barking at me, dude. I'm just fucking. I'm back here building the goddamn fucking retaining wall, and the squirrel sitting on a branch, like just right off my property line, barking at me, and I can't fucking shoot it because I got neighbors. And I'm like, I can't set my dogs on it, so I'm like throwing rocks at it, just like go the fuck away. I'm trying to do some shit, and the motherfucker just fucking stayed there and chirped at me. I hate squirrels. I hate squirrels so much.
But anyways, political. You like going into the political world.
Oh yeah, no, thank you for bringing me back. I got lost. You threw me a lifeline.
I drug you off the path.
Friends are for.
That's what friends are for.
brother's keeper right there, man.
So yeah, no, I don't like. I try to avoid politics. Like I try to avoid religion simply because like it's not really as important as what everyone says it is. Like these things do not genuinely affect you day to day. I can't think of one thing that the government did for me today. Outside of like steal some money from me. There was nothing, I had no interaction with it. I had no interaction with any religion, like these very serious issues that drive people like apart and make them angry at one another. I just can't take serious, man. I'm just like, man, that's fucking stupid. Like, who cares what other people kind of get into? Like, if they're not harming you, then you're fucking good. Like it's cool. Like, if
isn't that the crux of it though? Isn't that the crux of it though, BK? Is like the whole thing that we talk about. I have no problem with somebody having a strong identity, whether it's political, social, sexual, religious, whatever it is, whatever your identity is. I mean,
yeah,
that's fine by me. I don't understand where it became a necessity that everybody has to have the same identity,
right,
or it needs to be a shitstorm.
Or we even need to talk about it. That's
Take it a step further. You're right.
That's kind of what throws me is that, like, why are these even issues? Because none of the shit that you hear about is actually serious.
So with the whole human action being a bigger circle than economics, the boom bust cycle is also part of every part of human action, right? So for too long, we didn't try that hard in terms of working towards the future. We've done all this stuff, and we're having a crash right now. And during the crash, everybody's doing that mind virus of trying to be part of the group. And that's all that matters is, oh, did it buzz? Everybody stood up. I need to stand up. Oh, wait, that buzz happened. Those people stood up. I need to make fun of them. Like right now, we went through a crash. Like all of 2020, all the riots that happened, that wasn't because a cop kneeled on somebody's neck and killed that person. It was, but it was everything else that led up to that moment that caused that crash, where human beings were willing to go out and destroy everything. We've built up too big, and it's not in the right direction. and now everything's crashing down. And then as everything's crashing down, people can't talk to each other. Even though we're using English, even though we use the word capitalism, it doesn't mean the same thing. Let's go back to the Bible. This is the Tower of Babel is what's happening right now. We're all going.
Good call.
It was the most important thing. We were building a tower to God. That's a noble thing. We were going to meet God, and it still came crashing down. And during that crash, we had different languages and we went our own separate ways. That is what is happening now. We built up too big and now we're crashing. That's why. Like, all this doesn't make sense because we have to reset. We have to, unfortunately, the great reset that other people are causing. But everybody's going their separate ways. That's why people are talking about succession, all this stuff. This is why. It went too far, too long, and the rules were too rigid. The rules sucked. Too many wars and terror, too many wars on drugs. And now we have to rebuild. It's built on sand now, and we have to rebuild our foundation. That's what's happening. All this stuff is like, why are people doing this? It's like, because it's chaos, and now we have to go figure it out again. That's what's happening. Yeah,
it's cyclical, and the pendulum always swings the opposite way, and it always goes too far the opposite way, and then you have to correct, and then course correct, and then overcorrect, and then undercorrect, and that's just the way it goes. I mean, that's human nature. I mean, how many times in history has this happened?
Every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is. I think the only hope in it is just knowing what's coming. That's all. Yeah. And be prepared for it.
And understand that it's chaos, and then go organize and solve the problems. As you solve the problems, then things start to go back to normal. So,
and then you go back. Then you go to order, and then after you'll blow past order into too much order, and then that will bring about chaos again, and over and over and over again.
Yep. And that whole anarcho-tropism that's kind of going around a little bit, it's like everybody's either left or right, and I hate that so much. The world has 3 dimensions. String theory says 15 dimensions. Differential geometry found perfect symmetry at 254 dimensions. Like, there's so many freaking dimensions in this. Our tongue has 5 different dimensions, right? And everybody wants to put us on a single line, left and right, and it's chaos and order. And it's like, well, no, there's one that's perpendicular to chaos and order, and it's called bureaucracy and entrepreneurship. Bureaucracy loves order, and it uses order to create chaos, where entrepreneurship goes into the chaos and creates order. Like, it's a yin-yang around their system. It's totally separate of their system. It's totally different. It's like, nope, everything's left or right. It's like, if you make it that simple, you can't solve the problems.
Yeah.
So, another rant, and I need another beer.
I'm fucked up on the 5 dimensions on the tongue.
Yeah, like, sweet, sour, savory, salty, all that. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Umami.
Okay.
Umami.
I hit a brick wall right
shit.
when you said that, dude. I was like, what? Hold on. Oh, damn. Woo. Okay, so I do want to get to something. It's the only valid question that we got from people out there on the Bird.
No, I don't own a DVD copy of Showgirls, Drew.
Damn it, man. Damn it.
Nope, it's all digital for Evan.
I'm gonna do like legitimately just my own like 10-minute short explanation of why I think Showgirls. It's gonna take like, that's a short version of explaining why Showgirls is what it is, because I didn't
We're
do
an
a
hour
good
and
enough
41 minutes in.
No, I know, but I couldn't fucking do it because I got high before I got into this shit. So like, of course I was gonna fucking nail it. But this is legitimate. I have a fucking thesis, and I don't like that everyone's making a joke out of it. Showgirls, like, I got this, so I'm gonna do it. And then Drew, you're gonna have to add at the bottom like a little, fuck, I don't know,
put it in the show notes. Put it in the show notes.
The show note, yeah. Like, we'll go in there and be like, hey,
buy it
listen,
on Amazon.
So let's not make this like just a whole fucking comment section full of making fun of BK for not being able to explain why Showgirls is awesome. Here's why he explained it.
I actually got it. I liked it. I liked your explanation. I'm sorry, Drew. We cut you off.
No, you're
Take
good.
back control.
Oh yeah, that's right, Drew. Sorry, dude.
Take back control.
That's what makes this episode so good is the fact that we go off down the fucking every rabbit hole we come across.
God bless you for trying to herd cats, man.
Yeah, really. I mean, fucking Christ, man. Like, I can only imagine. Like, you
Brutal.
picture Drew just sitting in front of this fucking computer going, Jesus fucking Christ, not
5
again.
dimensions on your tongue. What is going on?
like every 45 seconds just being like, oh shit, it's fucking ruined. What the fuck? And he's like, oh, and this is live too? Son of a bitch.
So for the wives and loved ones out there listening, what are good gift ideas for the dads in their life for the upcoming holiday season?
That's a good
All right,
question.
I'll go first.
Go first.
Dads either have a sports team, an alcohol drink, or a hobby. Just pick one of those and then get something. That's it. If it's Jack, go get him a burger.
You sure you don't want to sugarcoat that one a little bit, or?
BK?
Oh,
Evan?
That's a hell of a question, because like guys are all different. We all got our own fucking shit, but I think the best answer to that. Wait, what was the question again?
Gift ideas. Gift ideas for dads coming up.
Gift ideas for dads.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Get a couple like a set where there's 2 bow and arrows, and give one to your one to your husband and one to your kid, and let them fucking shoot one another. Get stuff like get things that you can do with your hands or with your kid. Like if you just want to buy like a new tool or like a little project, something like that. Like, no, wait, that's a terrible fucking answer. Jesus,
No,
fuck
no. I'm tracking.
No, because I was just thinking like you can legitimately go buy fireworks. So go fucking get your man some fucking goddamn fireworks.
I like that too.
Shoot some shit, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, that's
all right, Evan. Let's go.
Yeah, go. Yep, switch.
My thought is this. I'm very bad at planning something in stone. Like, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going to do it. And this is how long it'll take, and da-da-da-da. I think the best gift like my wife could give me would be like get a gift card for the movies, something like that, something that your husband and your kids will enjoy together, and plan out a date for them, or a male act. If it's you got sons, plan out a physical activity for them to do. Buy go-karts. Yeah, buy 2 tickets to go to a fun for all for your husband and your kid. If it's a husband and your daughters, buy 2 tickets for them to go see a play, and plan out either a bro date or a date for your husband and your kid.
Same thing.
But that way he doesn't have to think about it. There's no stress on planning, and it's just boom and go do it.
Dude, I really dig that. Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually a good idea.
Because I suck at planning that stuff, man.
Me too. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll second guess myself too, and that's the other thing. Is like, I'll come up with some ideas, but I won't ever pull the trigger on it. And then it's like 2 months later, I'm like, fuck, man, I meant to do this, and it didn't ever happen.
Yep.
Life gets in the way.
I'm terrible at planning. Like, I don't know if that's surprising or not. Not entirely certain. That's letting a cat out of the bag sort of situation. But my wife does really cool fucking things where she like hands me notes all the time that I just have to carry. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I got to do this at this time, because I have to have something with me to keep track, and there was more of a joke to that, but I'm legitimately fucking losing my train of thought entirely.
Is your wife pinning notes to your shirt?
She has before. No, she's not right now, but yes, like this has
He
happened.
is the person from Memento. He's got all the tattoos.
Oh shit.
It's bad. Like I'm terrible. I'm terrible at this shit.
I will tell you, man. So like on the gift idea thing on that front, the things that mean the most to me. I mean, it's always great to get the smoker or something like that. But the ones that mean the most to me, I got like a little concrete block with my daughter's handprint in it, and it says like Happy Father's Day on it that I got a few years ago. Like that type of stuff, those sentimental things, dude. You can't buy that. You know what I mean? Like that's not something you can put a dollar amount to. Like that means the world to me, especially with her. She's hitting that age, man, where dad's not as cool as he used to be. And
never was.
No, he wasn't. But she thought I was. I had her duped, man, for a good long while. That's the thing. And now she's like waking up to the fact, like, dude, this dude ain't cool, And so I don't know, man. If the moms are out there listening for some reason, God bless you for sticking in this long into the episode.
Oh God,
there's no way any of them.
No, go with BK's thing.
Not.
Have a project that you do with your kids. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, me and 6-year-old, we're gonna go build a couple knives together. Let's go.
Yeah,
you get to keep one. I get to keep one.
Agree.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Agree.
I mean, like, because that's the thing with the tornado, man, is I'm just like, listen, let's just fucking do this together, and if we come out with a product, like, you get it too, like, that's it. So we plant the garden and shit that comes up, I'm like, oh no, man, like, I get this onion because I'm first in line, but you get the next one because you were there with it, and just fucking like, all right, dude, whatever, fucking spread it
out, man.
I don't know. Okay.
I love it. Tell us.
I totally like. The problem is that I had a really good fucking joke, and I didn't finish it, and that pisses me the fuck off. Like it was gonna, dude. It was gonna hit, dude. It was gonna fucking slap. I fucked it up, and now it's just gonna be recorded as me like missing a good opportunity to say something funny, motherfucker.
You can tweet it out later.
Yeah, I won't because I'm fucking high now and I won't remember what the fuck it was.
Well,
and then I'll get on
tell
Twitter.
the wife to put it on a sticky note and you'll be good.
God, she's in bed. Come on, dude. This is serious shit. God damn it.
Well, shit, man. Guys, this has been the Oregon Trail of episodes. We knew it would be. We started out with 5. Now we're down to 4. We lost Jack somewhere.
Yeah, we did.
Jack got dysentery.
Right when he was about to give us the best advice ever.
Yeah.
I know.
Gone.
Oh, he's gonna be fucking livid. We should make fun of him for this.
He hasn't even tried to
for
come
the rest
back,
of the
man.
night. Just quote tweet him and everything, no matter what, and be like, "You could have said this on the podcast, man."
Yeah. Well, let's.
All right,
gentlemen.
I gotta
go hit it.
I got a naked child running around.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. We'll get together sometime next month, man. Make this happen
Love it.
again. All right.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thanks.
All right.
Anytime.
Later,
I don't
guys.
think you're gonna want to do that, man. It's
yeah.
getting worse.
Oh, we're making him. We're making him.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
It's terrible. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. Just another big thank you to the guys for coming on and talking to me for a while. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. Obviously I did. Anytime I get the opportunity to hang out with these guys, it's going to be fun. And this is going to be a common staple to the show, I think. So if you wouldn't mind, if you could, reach out to me on Twitter, reach out to the Facebook page. Anchor even has the opportunity. If you go to Anchor and look up the Clean Libertarian podcast, there is a voicemail feature. You can leave a voicemail. Ask us any questions or, anything you want to hear us discuss and talk about. Holler at us. Let us know. If you're a dad and you're out there and there's been something that you want to hear other dads talk about, holler at us, man. We get better at this whole dad thing by, talking to one another, and spreading that kind of useful information. So yeah, anyway, thanks again to the guys for coming on. And I'm just going to go ahead and segue into the song of the day. This is Will the Bull Taylor. I believe he goes by Willie T. Taylor. You can find him on Spotify now. And he's just, I don't know, laid back, folk, kind of bluegrassy sounding music. But nonetheless, it is super chill, super easy to listen to, and this song is called Wrong Way to Run. So, without any further ado, here is Will the Bull Taylor.
Some mountains and men are bigger than you think. Some rivers so fast, hell, you can't take a drink. Some burdens so heavy, you can't help but sink in that ocean with the chains on one too many link. I'm a laid back one, and I've been one so long. I ain't perfect, you can tell by my songs. Brothers, forgive me for all of my wrongs. Good Lord, he's calling, and it's time to go home. Say what you will and do what you must. That rain's coming soon, boys, gonna clear up this dust. And I ain't had a home in so very long, but I'm heading to the house, boys, I'll leave the light on. 'Cause I'm a laid back one, and I've been one so long. I ain't perfect, you can tell by my songs. Brothers, forgive me for all of my wrongs. Good Lord, he's calling, and it's time to go on home. I wore out my shoes in that wrong way to run. I blistered my skin working hard in the sun. Supper's almost over, and I done cleaned my plate, and there's a light shining yonder, boys, I don't think I'll wait. I'm a laid back one, and I've been one so long. I ain't perfect, you can tell by my songs. Brothers, forgive me for all of my wrongs. The good Lord, he's calling, and it's time to go home. I hear him calling, and it's time to go